Right, in this video we're going to have a look at the web browser itself. Now this is more or less a traditional web browser, and most of the area is given up to a space where the server that you're talking with can display its message to you. There's various control bits and pieces at the top, and we're going to take a look at those. I'm just going to zoom you in here, and I'm just going to jump to another page. You can see that we have some things here which are typically a backwards, a forwards, a home and a reload. There's also a stop further along the right, but we'll take a look at that. So you can work your way backwards and forwards between the various pages that you've viewed, or you can jump to your home page, a specific page that you've marked to be where you want to start, and also reload or refresh. Now that can be useful if you're watching some web pages where the page needs to be refreshed every now and then, and that will come in obvious at some points. Then you've got the address bar. Now the address bar is typically, you can see that this one says file, that's local, and we'll switch to one that's actually live. And you can see here that we've got a live address, as I explained previously, and that is an actual web address of a website. Further across here you can see, for example, we have the stop icon. It's greyed out because we're not doing anything right now. If I try and do something, then you'll see it briefly flash, but once the page is loaded it stops automatically. The next one is one that confuses a lot of people, and this is the search entry. Now, rather than put in a specific web address, this is where you can search for something, and you've got various different search engines that you can search from. Now, each different search company has got its own good and bad points, and it's up to you as to which one you want to choose. I choose Yahoo for most things, and rather than give a web address of a specific site, I can search for something meaningful, like say I wanted to search for gardening club. I could also choose something further, like Sussex, and what will happen then is something that's slightly out of the ordinary. Rather than go to a specific website, it will pass this to the Yahoo website, and the Yahoo website will then come back with the search results. And here we go. What's happened is I've gone to yahoo.com and it's given the search results for me, and this is a list of various other websites that I could go to. And you'll get a bar down the right hand side that says actually there's more, and you can select from those. So if I grab this bar with the mouse, I can actually scroll up and down the list quite easily. So one of the key things to watch is that right hand side for the bar. Now the difference between these two different entry systems is quite subtle. For example, I could have gone to the website http:// whoops, put one too many slashes in there, www.yahoo.com or yahoo.co.uk. Once I'd come up with that, it would have a search bar at the top, and I could have put in that gardening club Sussex, and then asked for a search, and it would have done the search for me there. So that's one way of doing it. What this extra bar here has done is allowed me to have a shortcut. So rather than going to yahoo.com and then entering the search, I can just enter the terms that I want to search for in the search bar, and it will automatically pass that to my favorite search engine that I select. One of the things that some people do is get these two bars mixed up. They can actually type a web address into this one, or a search term into the other one. Fortunately, most browsers are smart enough that they can recognize the difference, and they'll take account of that for you. One of the things of doing this, if I give http://www.msnight.com in that one, in the wrong bar, what it will do is the search engine will typically come back and the site I want will actually usually be at the top of it. So I can just click onto that, and I am then looking at the site that I requested. If I put the search term in here instead, like Michelle Knight, it takes its best guess, and it has a default search engine, and it just puts it in that, and you pretty much get the same thing. So the web browsers are usually smart enough to handle this sort of thing, but if you don't get the result that you're expecting, try thinking about which bar is which, because that's typically one of the most common things. Now you'll notice at the top here that we have a number of what's called tabs. Just as you'd have a tab on a paper file, you can have a tab in most modern browsers, and these allow you to watch multiple sites simultaneously without having too much trouble. And this new tab is actually blank. After you've been through a few pages, like I've done that here, I can actually go back a page to the page that I was on previously, or if I go forward, I could actually go forward to that page, and that's how these work. You'll also find that various things are smart as well, like if I empty this and start typing in the site name that I've been to before, like www.msnight.com, you can see that it's actually making suggestions, and these suggestions are based on websites that I've been to previously. So I haven't got to type the whole thing in here. All I've got to do is type in enough characters for this to have in its memory sites that I've been to. Then I can just click on the one that I want, and I'm taken to that site. Quite a smart little feature, that. You've also got what's known as bookmarks. Now on some these are known as favorites, but they do the same job. And the bookmarks are basically allow you to bookmark the web as if you would bookmark, for example, a book. And these are folders, so you can have multiple multiple bookmarks within a folder, so you can have organizations, and then you can have the sites, and these will then take you to exactly the website that you had. So this one, for example, takes me to a web page that I was looking at on a discussion about RP-Cube and the Vivitar 285HV, and you can see pretty much what's going on there. So if I was at the page and I think, oh, I want to keep this, I could go bookmarks, bookmark this page, and you'll notice that there's a shortcut for it, in this case Control and D. So rather than coming up here and selecting bookmarks, I could just press Control and D on the keyboard. Which shortcut is for your browser depends on your browser. And then when I asked to bookmark, it would say, okay, where do you want to put it? And I could pick the folder that I want it to go in, and then it would go in there. And you can also add a folder structure if you want, and that would then be there next time you do it. Some, like Firefox are currently offering, are Bookmark Synchronizations. So if you have more than one device, it will synchronize your bookmarks across all those devices. So you haven't got to keep multiple copies of bookmarks on different machines. It's all kept on Firefox's cloud for you. And some other browsers have that ability also. If you don't have multiple machines, then you don't need to worry about that kind of feature too much. But you'll notice here with this website that the browser has basically given over control of this large area to the website, and suddenly what becomes clickable What doesn't become clickable is down to the website itself, not the web browser. And you can see that various things I can click on have changed colour, or they will suddenly become underlined, or some difference. So if you want to know what's active in a website, you can typically use the mouse and see what actually changes on the web page. You'll also notice clickable areas where you can click other things in and do a search, for example, and that would be a search within the website. But there are so many different websites out there, I'm not going to cover them all. There is one other thing that I'll show you, and that's toolbars. Because if you install loads of different software, what it'll try and do is install the toolbar. I'm just going to add the Bookmarks Toolbar, and what you'll see is that this toolbar will suddenly occupy a bit more of the screen and give me more options. Now, while this is very useful in some cases, other websites and other software will automatically offer to install a toolbar for you. Now, in some cases these toolbars don't do an awful lot, but they're just a way for that particular piece of software to keep their brand in front of your face. If you have too many toolbars installed, what you'll wind up having is the toolbars will just become so numerous that they will eat into the display space. And it's up to you to find the view option and turn off the toolbars that you don't want to see. Or, better still, when you install a piece of software, be on the watch for any kind of option which says, do you want me to install our toolbar for you? And make sure that there's no tick, because unfortunately a lot of this software these days will come with that option ticked, and unless you're on the watch, you might not even see that it's ticked, and you'll wind up with a toolbar that you don't really want. Some toolbars are useful, others aren't. There is one other thing that you probably want to get hold of, and that is this. It's Ad Blocker Plus, and this doesn't come as standard. You'll have to get it. It's called a plugin, and that will allow you to block various adverts from appearing. Now, that's quite useful in itself, but among your various tools and options you will also see plugins. Now, add-ons, plugins, pretty much the same thing, but what these are they are extra pieces of software that you can add on to your browser quite easily. They're extra little bits of software that you can just add on without having to get hold of a browser with these. So it's a sort of a way of building things onto your browser, extra functionality, without too much trouble. These are extensions, and you can see I've got Adblock Plus in there, my English dictionary, and a few little other bits and pieces. So I can add on the extensions that I want to enhance the browser. It's it's a nice little way of doing it, of adding on little bits and pieces to the web browser to enhance its functionality. And I can enable or disable the ones, or even deinstall the ones that I don't want anymore. So that is a basic introduction to web browsers and how they function, and some of the things that make them up. You'll notice that some others don't adhere to this design. Things like Google Chrome, for example, are very minimalistic, and sometimes you can't get at the controls that you need. It's all really a matter of taste. Others, like Internet Explorer 8, I think, have changed the location, so rather than having many of the menu systems up here, they are elsewhere, and it's down to personal taste as to what browsers you like and what they offer. So I hope that this will give you a brief introduction to how a browser functions.